Hello everyone, welcome back. Today, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I haven't done something on the whiteboard in a long time. I think it's been a couple of months. But today, I'm going to be doing my mid-season playoff predictions for the NHL. Because we have the normal standings we have right now. But I like to do mid-season predictions just to see what I am leaning towards rather than the start of the season. And to see how right I am from the mid-season. So, we'll get into the playoffs later, but for right now, we have the standings. I'm going to be predicting that, and then we'll get into the playoffs, don't worry. Now, switching sides here, because I realize I can't write with my left hand. Silly me. I'm going to go with my right hand, and we're going to go for the Pacific Division now. Now you can see the current standings and all that. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial pick here, but I am picking the Golden Knights to drop back and the Kings to take the Pacific Division. And the thing about that is, I'm not saying that the Golden Knights will necessarily step down from the role that they're playing at. They're playing fantastic hockey. But the Kings, I think, will elevate their game in the second half even better than they've been playing in the first half. And I think that they'll be more desperate to make some deadline moves than the Golden Knights, just because the Golden Knights are new. They don't want to shop around their draft picks necessarily. But I think the Kings will want to do that since they're in a good position. I think that the Kings will want to get good players. I think that they will get good players at the trade deadline. And those good players will turn into good wins, and the Kings will become the division leaders. But the Golden Knights will be right behind them at number 2. And I don't really see that budging at all. I don't see anybody in the Pacific really taking that over. And at number 3, right now in the Pacific Division, the Sharks are at number 3. The Ducks are right behind them though, and even though I don't really like the Ducks, I'm gonna say that they'll leapfrog the Sharks at least at the end of the year. They're just getting healthy right now, and they played decent. They played okay while their guys were injured, and now that those guys are back, they can play a lot better, and they have more depth now than they ever had really. And I think that the Ducks will have a second half resurgence, and I think that that'll definitely help them. In the Central, I'm going to put the Predators at the first position. I think, even the they're not right next to the Jets, so they aren't that far behind them, really, for that first spot right now. And I think that the Predators have an even stronger second half than they did the first half, and they take over that division spot. That doesn't mean that the Jets will be too far behind at number 2. I think that the Jets have a fantastic team, and they'll keep steady. The Predators will just outbeat them for quite a few games here. I think that the Jets are going to make the playoffs, and we're going to have a good position here at number 2. And at number 3, I think that is a pretty likely matchup here. I'm going to put the Stars as number 3. They've been playing well. They've been playing fantastic hockey. I think that they'll leapfrog the Blues, who have been playing pretty hockey for the past couple of weeks. They haven't been playing their game yet. So I think that the Blues are going to drop down to the first wild card, spoilers, but I think that the Stars will at least leapfrog the St. Louis Blues, and I think that'll just I think that's more likely to me, but whatever. Now in the Atlantic Division, getting started with the East, at number 1, it can't be anybody else but the Lightning, to be honest, and I don't think that they'll really cool down necessarily, but the Lightning are just going to keep steady, I'm pretty sure. I really can't see them dropping at all. And Lightning are in a good position here to just keep surging on and just keep increasing the points. I think that there's really nobody in the Atlantic who can really test them because they're on it's just a league of their own. The Lightning are for this past couple of seasons, or at least this past this past year. So I feel like the Lightning are doing a great job, and I think they'll continue to do that. But at number 2, this is a weird one because it can go really either way between the Leafs and the Bruins, but I think that the Leafs pull through and get the home ice advantage, and then the Bruins are at number 3. It could really go either way because both teams are very similar in stature. I think that both teams could go either way, in all honesty, but I think that the Leafs will be better in the second half defensively, and that'll definitely contribute to a second half and a home ice advantage. And I think that the Leafs, if they do their job, they can get really set for the playoffs, and they can do a lot of damage. Now in the Metro Division, the most stacked division in the league. At number 1, I have the Capitals, which is, you could say it's a good or bad thing for them. I'm going to say that's a bad thing because it's more pressure. They're winning the division once again, and I don't think that's really what they need right now. I think that they just need to lay it low for like a season or two. getting number one in the division is definitely not what they want, and I think that they are going to be really making a mistake to get the best possible matchups they could get. Like, it's pretty crazy, the Capitals at this point. But at number 2, I don't think they're budging at all. I'm going to put the Devils. Now, they are a young team, and you could say they will go on a decline because of that. But I think that the young guys that they do have are fantastic. And if you have fantastic young guys, they aren't going to fall back. They're going to keep excelling at an NHL level. And I think that's just what they'll do. I don't think they'll really stop necessarily, and they might come down to earth a tiny bit, but I don't really see them losing that second spot in the division. And at number 3, this is probably the biggest surprise of the listing here. The Hurricanes are playing well, but I have a feeling that they'll have a second half resurgence. Now, I picked the Hurricanes to make the playoffs, and it's not why I'm putting them here. It's because they've shown flashes, and the flashes that they've been showing have been fantastic. They've been playing well for a little while here, and if they continue this momentum, I can definitely see that Metro being a little bit more wide open than people think. And the Hurricanes, I could see definitely taking that division, or not taking the division, getting a playoff spot in the division, and that could definitely help them. Now, in the wild cards, you have the West and the East, but in the wild cards, I'll have the Blues for the West wild card team. They'll probably be the best wild card team on here. The Blues at number 1, and then I'll have the Blackhawks. So it definitely makes some interesting playoff matchups coming up, and you'll definitely see that. Number 1 for the East side of things on the wild card, you have the Rangers, who will step back a little bit. They're at the 3rd spot right now, but I think that they'll drop down a little bit. I think that the Hurricanes will resurge, as I just told you guys. And at number 2, I think that the Islanders will stay steady and keep the coast going and make playoffs. So, Islanders make a playoff berth, the Devils make a playoff berth, the Hurricanes make a playoff berth, the Jets make a playoff berth, the Knights, of course, make a playoff berth. There's a lot of surprises on here that you wouldn't think at the start of the year, and some not surprises. The Lightning, the Capitals, I wouldn't say the Kings, I'd say the Preds are not a surprise at all, and the Leafs. So there's some surprises and not surprises. And I also have the President's Trophy prediction. I think that this is another little, maybe a controversial prediction, but I say that the Predators come back and make a resurgence, because they have Ryan Ellis coming back. And him coming back after the Predators have been dominant on defense already just shows that the Predators are so deep, and they can make really any run at any time now. And I think that the Predators will make a gigantic run in the second half. And just like I'm saying, like 1 or 2 points, just make the President's Trophy win. That may or may not come with their success, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Predators will make a good run there. And at the worst team prediction, I think that the Coyotes stay steady on that. I don't see anybody really budging them. So now that the billboard is away, we go into the playoffs. Now in the West, you have Predators versus Blackhawks. In the West, you also have the Kings versus Blues, Knights versus Ducks, Jets versus Stars in the first round. In the East, you have the Lightning versus Islanders, Capitals versus Rangers, Leafs versus Bruins, and Devils versus Hurricanes. I'm going to say that the Predators win the series against the Blackhawks in 6 games. The Kings versus the Blues, that is a pretty tough match, pretty even matchup, but I say the Kings win in 7 games. Knights versus Ducks, sorry, the Knights are going to continue. They get home ice advantage if they get second place in the division. That's what they do, so I'm going to say Knights in 6. Jets versus Stars, I am a Stars fan, but I think that the Jets are better. But just barely, but the Jets win in 7 games. Lightning versus Islanders, Lightning win in 5 games, let's be honest here. Capitals versus Rangers, Capitals in 6. And the Leafs versus Bruins, they say the Leafs win that in 6 games. That is a pretty even matchup as well, and a tough one for the Leafs. They're going to have to battle through that one. And then the last one is Devils versus Hurricanes. I think that the Devils, even if the Hurricanes make the playoffs, I think that the Devils have the easiest matchup in the league for the playoffs. I mean, the Devils are the only team to sweep any team in the first round, and that will prove to be the only sweep that I predicted in this playoffs. Now, for the second round in the Predators versus Kings, I say that the Predators win that in 5. I think that they're the better team by quite a lot. In the Jets versus Knights series, I say that the Jets take it in 7. Both teams are fantastic at home. Both teams, with my predictions, have home ice advantage. So I say that the Jets win that in 7, just barely over the Golden Knights. In the East, the Lightning versus the Capitals. It is the second round, and the Lightning are the Lightning. So I'm going to say that the Lightning beat the Capitals in 6. And the Leafs versus Devils, the Leafs beat the Devils in 5. Now on to the conference final. You have Predators versus Jets, and in the East you have Lightning versus Leafs. Now, both series are going to be fantastic if that's what happens. Like, both series are going to be phenomenal. And Preds versus Jets, that is a very even matchup. Same with Lightning and Leafs versus Leafs, even though the Leafs have a sketchier defense. I say that the Preds win in 6, and the Lightning win in 5. And you know what that brings. The Stanley Cup Final is the Predators versus Lightning in the 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, it would be just a gigantic series. Predators are coming off a Stanley Cup loss. The Lightning are one of the best teams in the league, if not the best team in the league with their offense. They have everything. One of the best constructed teams in the league coming into the playoffs, hungry for a Stanley Cup win. Both teams are so evenly matched, it's pretty crazy. Both teams are phenomenal and the best in their conferences, I believe. On paper at least, and both teams are just hungry and vicious for a Stanley Cup. And if I had to guess one of them, if I had to predict one of them to win the Stanley Cup out of this matchup, I'd say the Lightning win it in 7. It goes all the way to 7 because it would be such a tough matchup. It could go even the Predators' way. It could go every single way you could possibly imagine it. And I just think the Lightning will pull through. They have too much depth, too much scoring, too much goaltending, too much defense. They have basically everything you could need, everything you could want, everything you could even want to achieve. And the Lightning, I just think, are way too good. Even though Pekka Rinne is too good right now, I think that the Lightning are just too good right now. And I think that they'll pull through a Stanley Cup win. No, this was the mid-season predictions, the mid-season playoff predictions. Just take it with a grain of salt. Of course, this is my predictions. And the Stanley Cup playoffs never really go the way that we think it's gonna go, and it gets wacky. And the predictions, my predictions are never right. I mean, at the start of the season, I did predict the Hurricanes to finish third, and I'm going with my gut. I'm still going with my gut. I think the Hurricanes will pull through. But my predictions are probably going to be totally wrong, to be honest. And there is going to be a lot of surprises that I don't think, at least I predicted. Probably not a lot of you predict. And I think that there will be lots of surprises this year. And on my predictions, it will be the 1-2. It will be the best team in the league and the second best team in the league. So that would be a gigantic matchup. That would be pretty insane. I don't know the last time that's happened, where the 1 and 2 have battled it out, but that would be just a fantastic series to watch, like just amazing. The Predators were getting shopped as a team to be relocated just like 10 years ago, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were selling tickets for free, giving out tickets not that long ago. So both teams have been in financial struggles one way or another at some time or another, and both teams are fantastic right now, and I definitely believe that the fan bases deserve it. Both teams deserve a Stanley Cup win, and both teams really do and really are good enough to make it. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Guys, did enjoy it, make sure to like. Guys, if you did enjoy it, subscribe. In the description, I will have the start of the season predictions. They are pretty bad, and let's be honest. And the video itself is pretty bad, but compared to right now, it is pretty bad. But or at least tell me in the comments down below, what do you think I got wrong? What do you think you what is your Stanley Cup winner at least? And everything else. I just want to hear it. But I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.